all your favorite products under one roof in Bahrain at 27-year-old Megamart and Macromart. Bakery, fresh meat and fish, fruits and vegetables, sweets and snacks, ready-to-eat foods, dairy products, grocery or consumer goods. To have a wonderful shopping experience, please visit your nearest Megamart Macromart branch. Megamart and Macromart, full of goodness.
With our stunning collection of fine jewelry, gemstones, pearls and diamonds, fine pieces in timeless designs and unspoken elegance. Al-Saie Jewelry, our story, our pride.
Lulu Money, Snehapurvam.
The exclusive franchisee of Cochin Kala Bhavan in Bahrain. With over a decade of existence in Bahrain, exclusive online regular classes have started for classical dances, music vocal, instrumental music, cinematic dance, Kathak, Zumba body fitness, karate and yoga, drawing, arts and craft, children's theatre. For more information, please call 3909 6845 3909 4806 3885 2397 or visit www.bahrainmediacity.com.
A Bahraini entrepreneur who has been able to make his mark through hard work and thinking big. Passionate about what he does and one with a clear vision for his company, community and country. Skilled, talented and adaptable, who believes in inclusion of fellow human beings. Basim Al-Saie, Managing Director at Installux Gulf, Chairman of GAMCO and Executive Board Member at Bahrain Chamber. Mr. Al-Saie is a strong supporter of entrepreneurship. He believes that to be successful, one needs to adopt, adapt and innovate to meet the needs and trends of the market. Mr. Al-Saie entered the world of business in 1996 and almost a quarter century later, he has made it to the top rungs with his name featuring among the leaders in the region. the founder of Installux Gulf, a joint venture Bahraini-French company providing top-end architectural aluminum systems, Mr. Al-Saie is also a founding shareholder and board member of Kalam Telecom, a director of Polycon Bahrain, and a partner of GulfX, a customer experience solutions provider. With a bachelor's degree in mechanical engineering from Boston University, Mr. Al-Saie is active in the community and business organizations. He is a founding member of the French Bahrain Business Club, a board member and ex-chairman of Al-Raji School, and president of the Entrepreneurs Organization Bahrain chapter. Tonight on BizTalk from BMC Global Live, featuring success stories of business leaders, it is the passionate businessman with a vision who believes that he has still miles to go, Basim Al-Saie.
If you want to reach a goal, you must see the reaching in your own mind before you actually arrive at your goal. A man true to this statement is joining me this evening on BizTalk from BMC Global Live, Managing Director at Installux Gulf, Basim Al-Saie. Good evening, Mr. Al-Saie. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
Thank you so much. So BizTalk features success stories of business leaders. And that's one reason we have you here with us this evening for a lively chat, a very casual, easy, relaxed chat, so that we get to know more of the businessman Basim Al-Saie as well as the person that you are as an individual. And in such a happening time, we are indeed happy that you're here with us this evening. Let me begin with this question. Whatever I've read about you, it always refers to you as a passionate businessman. You are very passionate about being a businessman, and that's a story. We will come into that story as we go in this evening's chat. Let me begin with that question. How passionate are you, and where did you pick this passion from?
I think passion is an essential element that you need to have if you're going to start your entrepreneurship journey. You cannot start a business or be good at something if you're not really passionate about it. And a lot of entrepreneurs, when they start their businesses, it's because of that passion, of that strong feeling that they want to do something that transforms what's available, something that would be different, something that would be better. That fire or that passion is, to me, an essential part of the success that one expects to get. But success, I always say, a lot of young entrepreneurs sometimes, ask me about, what does it take to be successful? Or a lot of them sometimes ask, they want to be entrepreneurs. I ask them, why do you want to be entrepreneur? They said, because I want to be rich.
Yeah.
And my answer to this is, if that's what you're thinking of, don't start your project, because that's the wrong attitude to have and the wrong goal. Normally, success is a result of hard work, and it's a result of doing something exceptionally well for a while that leads to success, and success leads to money. It doesn't work any other way.
Okay.
So you should not focus at the money, because money is the final outcome of doing something exceptionally well repeatedly.
Right. And of course, there would have been a turning point, isn't it?
Yeah.
You just now said being an entrepreneur is not easy. The passion is one side, the commitment, the full commitment should be there, and also you should have the background to it. What was your turning point in life which took you to this entrepreneurship journey?
Yeah. Well, I think for me, it's always, I would say the turning point was in 1995. At the time, I just had a surgery on my knee, and I was in recovery, And I was an employee at the time and working in one of the downstream aluminum industries in Bahrain. And I knew that I wanted to do something on my own. But during that period, it occurred to me in my own analysis that there are two types of people. People that are proactive, that like to take things into their own hands and start their own businesses and do things like they want to do them. And there are the reactive people, people that like the stability of a job, of a salary, of being in that comfortable environment of being an employee in an organization. It doesn't mean this one is right or this one is wrong. It's just, for me, it was figuring what type of person I was. And clearly for me, I was the type that is more proactive. I wanted to take things into my own hand. So that was kind of very clear for me, because during this period, I was also thinking, contemplating going and doing my MBA back in the US, going to a good school and getting an MBA. So when I discovered that my type was a proactive, I wanted to start my own business. MBA is a great education, but for me at that time, it was 2 years of lost opportunity. Then I went through a journey of trying to discover what is it that I wanted to start. Is it a food business? Is it I wanted to get a franchise? Is it something that has to do with manufacturing? And once I was coming out of a management meeting where I was working, frustrated, and a picture of a catalog kind of appeared in front of me. It came to my mind about a company that had products. So I contacted the company. I said, are you interested in the markets of the Middle East? And it was a French company that came to visit Bahrain. They were visiting the region, and it was just kind of like exploratory visit that they did. And they said, yes, we are interested. So I said, okay, send me your product. Let me have a look at it. So when they sent me the products, I said, yes, their products are interesting because I'm in this field. I've been doing it for, at that time, almost 6.5 years. Do you want to go forward? I said, sure. So I did a feasibility study for 5 years from my experience being in that field. And the numbers looked good. Then I sat and then I exchanged these findings with them, and that's it. Then I started my entrepreneurship journey in this field. And it was, of course, a lot of ups and downs. An entrepreneurship journey is not easy one. And not everyone can be an entrepreneur. And I don't recommend that anybody to go on to be an entrepreneur, because it's not an easy job. Because at the end of the day, things have to happen. You need to make things success. You need to provide for your family, and that can be a challenge to a lot of people. And the world is never fair, or sometimes is not easy. You always have challenges, you have obstacles, you're swimming against the tide, you have situations that happen that are beyond your control. So as an entrepreneur, you're always going through these emotions and through these circumstances that have a great impact on you. So that's why as an entrepreneur, sometimes it feels lonely. Because your friends and family, they have no idea of what you're going through. But at the end of the day, there is that satisfaction that one gets when things work out, when finally you start to go through an upward growth and curve. And then looking back after a few years, you say, well, yeah, that it was kind of fun.
Yes, that's where exactly I would come in. It's almost 3 decades. Looking back and sitting here as an established businessman, many entrepreneurs or aspiring entrepreneurs out there would have this question in their mind. You must have had the situation and the choices that you could opt not to study and follow the desires of your heart or the passion, etc., etc. And you repeatedly said challenges. It would be nice if you could share with our audience, like, some of those challenges. Was it really an easy journey? When you just say it is not an easy journey, ups and downs are there, But then it would be inspiring to young entrepreneurs to hear actual hardships.
Yeah.
What are the type of hardships that you went through?
Well, one of them, as always, as a startup, as we say, the life of every startup and company is cash,
Yeah.
is liquidity. So that's one of the things that as entrepreneurs, we might be very passionate about our product, about what we're trying to do, but a lot of us are not good with numbers, with finances. So, and we tend to overlook the importance of cash flow. And cash flow is the lifeline of any business. If there is no cash flow, or the cash flow is not growing, or it's not smooth, or it's not coming at regular intervals, then it means the business cannot survive. I remember the first 2 years was kind of like the biggest challenge for us. When we started in April '97, we started with the capital that I put and my shareholders put, my partners have put, and then we ran out of that money. And then we had to, each one of us, dip into an additional funds, and we put additional funds. And then I remember that it reached the bottom. It reached to almost around 500 or 512 dinars.
Okay.
That's it, you know. From the initial amount that we put, it was like almost the first time, it was 40,000 as a capital. Then we injected, each one injected 10,000, 10,000. And then it just reached the bottom of 500. And then started slowly, sales started to pick up and cash flow started to improve. And then it was kind of on the third year, we started to turn things around, and then we started to have a profit. So that was kind of a nice feeling when you're just starting to emerge and reach to profitability from losses. But that's not over, because like I said, you have many challenges. One of my biggest challenges was in 2006. We were doing a lot of projects from 2001 to 2005 in Dubai, when Dubai was really booming. And then we saw that the risks were too high. The margins were very slim. The amounts were very big. We were doing big projects. We did the first major project for A'mar at the time, which was called the Greens Building. It started with 14 buildings, but by the time we finished the project, it was 41 buildings over a 3-year period. But the margins were coming down and down and down and down. So for us, it was a big risk. So then we decided that we are not going to be going after such projects because the risk was just too high. So that kind of put us in a very, very bad situation in 2006, because we lost those big contracts. We didn't compensate by other additional business. So that kind of put us in a very big loss that year. That it was, for me, it was like the verge of seeing the company crumble and fall down. Then again, as entrepreneurs, what we do is when we're back, or when our back is against the wall, a lot of times we do our best work, because we have no other way to do it but to fight, to put extra effort, long hours. And we started to go out in the market, develop new markets, find new customers, and eventually we emerged. Another period which was also very tough for us was 2011. You know, in Bahrain, we got affected as a business. Our regional suppliers and customers were afraid that we will not be able to honor our commitments in terms of supplying materials. But we got over that. And a lot of these challenges are lessons that we learn. And I always say, I have more fear from success, because success leads people to be complacent. But challenges and adversity makes you on top of your feet, makes you always kind of alert, active. And that's something very important. But also one other thing which is very important for all business owners and entrepreneurs is that the danger, I always say, is to fall into a comfort zone. Okay. What do I mean by the comfort zone? Is basically when we start our projects, we were all very passionate about our projects and we took risks. We were out of our comfort zone by taking a risk, by leaving your job, by starting a company. You were taking a risk. You were not in a comfort zone. But slowly, slowly, with time, we fall into that comfort zone. And one thing is guaranteed with a comfort zone is a steady decline. Because in the market, you're not alone. There are always other competitors, and there's new competitors that are going to come. And if it's a new competitor, they're not going to be in the comfort zone. They're going to take risks and challenges. So if you are in the comfort zone, then you're going to lose out. So that's why you have to always push yourself out of this comfort zone and always try to scale up your business. If you do not scale up your business, you reach a plateau, and then things start to decline. So always pushing yourself to the next plateau, to the next level is something that is very essential for entrepreneurs and companies.
Big lessons. Did you learn it all by yourself, or you have a background what about your family? Are you from a business family?
Well, I think in Bahrain, we all come from entrepreneurial heritage and background or DNA. All of us, our families had businesses. My family had a business many, many years ago in Bab al Bahrain. We were at the time one of the leading shops for selling Swiss watches at the time. So we all had our own sort of exposure to businesses. My mother, God bless her soul, she was an entrepreneur. She was one of the first Bahraini ladies to bring top-end European fashion in Bahrain in the mid-70s, around 1975. And she built, with her sister, she built one of the leading brands of top women fashion in Bahrain for many, many, many years. And it was kind of a great business because she had customers from all over the Gulf.
What is the brand?
It was called Sufana.
And what is your mother's name?
Balqis Khunji.
Okay.
Yeah. And but then again, it's the dynamics of the market changed, and of course, when the partners grew a bit older, it was the e-commerce also played a big role in it. And then we finally, in the end, we decided that that type of business was unsustainable, and we decided to close down that business. But again, being exposed to a mother that was an entrepreneur was something that I also learned a lot from. But a lot of things, for example, I would say that for me personally, I always say that one of the best business decisions of my life that I took was to join Entrepreneurs Organization, Bahrain
EO.
Chapter EO. I've been a member since 2006. And why it is such an important thing for me, because as a business owner, as an entrepreneur, I cannot leave my business and go to study for 1 month or 2 months or 6 months. But I don't have all the skills. I need to develop my skills on the go. So EO was one of those organizations that the more you get involved, the more you acquire skills. And then because of the expert speakers that we bring, by the special events that we have, the regional and the global events, you're always exposed to experts, to the latest topics. And also because you are with entrepreneurs just like you, and we share from experiences. We learn from each other. Like I said, being an entrepreneur can be very lonely, but if you're among other entrepreneurs, there's no need to reinvent the wheel. If I'm going through a hardship that somebody else went through it, then he would share his experience. And here it's something very important in EO we learned is we don't like to give advice. Because if you give advice, you're liable. Okay, we share experiences. I can share my experience when I have been through this situation, and then it is up to you to take that experience and act on it or not. But advice It's like an order. It's like a recommendation to do something. So that's the difference. And we always like to watch in how we say things, and we always insist on sharing experiences.
Right. That's a beautiful start. And that is Installux founder Basim Al-Saie on BizTalk from BMC Global Live. Let's take a short break.
All your favorite products under one roof in Bahrain at 27-year-old Megamart and Macromart. Bakery, fresh meat and fish, fruits and vegetables, sweets and snacks, ready-to-eat foods, dairy products, grocery or consumer goods. To have a wonderful shopping experience, please visit your nearest Megamart Macromart branch. Megamart and Macromart, full of goodness.
Welcome back to BizTalk from BMC Global Live, and this evening with me is Basim Al-Saie. So we heard about your turning point and what brought you into entrepreneurship, business. Tell us about why this business, why Installux Gulf, the aluminum. You just said about your family into trading Swiss watches and your mother setting an example into fashion. And is there any particular reason which brought you into this particular industry?
Well,
or is it just that catalog?
Well, I think it goes back to my personality or who I am.
Okay.
I was always, as a child, fascinated by mechanical things, always building things, with Legos, with motors, with taking things apart and putting them back again. I was always intrigued by mechanical things, by engineering things. And that's kind of pushed me to study mechanical engineering. I went to study in the United States, mechanical engineering. And my last 2 years, I was a teaching assistant in the computer-aided design and manufacturing lab. And when I graduated, I did not want to come fresh as a graduate to Bahrain. I wanted to work and get a work experience in the US. So I worked in a small company in Ridgefield, New Jersey, just across the Hudson from New York City, from Manhattan, for almost 2 years, a year and 7 months almost, where I wanted to use where the company recruited me based on my computer-aided design experience to help them port their engineering from manual drafting to computer-aided design. And then I decided to quit my job because it was a very challenging time at the end of the 80s. It was the beginning of a recession in the Northeast. And the company was not very strong. So I did not want to just waste my time doing a mundane or a routine job. Then I felt it was time for me to quit and go back to Bahrain. So that's when I decided to resign and come back to Bahrain. And when I started my job in Bahrain, during the late 80s or early 90s, it was very tough to find jobs in Bahrain. Typically, Bahrain was a financial center, everybody wanted to go in a bank. Work in a bank. And I know that salaries in banks the financial rewards were very big, and my brother, my middle brother is a banker, and he was one of the leading Bahraini bankers in investment banking. But banking never appealed to me. Although the financial rewards were there, I wanted to do something more where I feel what I'm doing, like a product. And I had a few interviews in companies, but the job that attracted me the most was in a company called Balexico, Bahrain Aluminium Extrusion Company. And the reason why it attracted me, because it had the opportunity for getting into sales and marketing using my technical background as a mechanical engineer. So I was recruited to take over from a French person at the time, because Balexico at the time had a licensee with a French company selling their products in the Gulf region, and they were not going to send anymore somebody from France, so they wanted to recruit a Bahraini with an engineering background to learn from this French guy and take over, which I was recruited, and it was competition between me and another Bahraini, but by September I was selected to be that person. But before September, it was a big challenge, because it was the invasion of Kuwait in August 1990. And my right-hand man was a Filipino engineer. And he panicked and he left Bahrain. So I was under tremendous pressure, because he was my most important guy that I was depend on him. And the French guy was going to leave in December, and I already took that role. I did not want anybody from the customers to say, well, we had a European and now we have a Bahraini, and the service is not the same. I wanted to be even better. So I put a lot of pressure on myself to learn and to be better and do more. So then basically I progressed in Balexico. I became the youngest manager in the company's history. And I became the marketing and technical support manager, then became the sales and marketing manager. But that was my exposure to aluminum. And aluminum is an amazing material. We always say aluminum is addictive. That once you are in this field, it's very difficult to leave the aluminum field. You will leave and you'll find yourself coming back. It's an amazing metal. Bahrain, aluminum is a big industry in Bahrain. Bahrain is a big producer on a global scale. We have downstream industry. And the beauty of aluminum is that you can use it in many different ways. You can extrude it, make extrusions. You can make it casting. You can make it aluminum sheets. You can make it powder. And each one of them has thousands of applications. And still, it has an upward potential. I mean, even today, for example, when we look at electric cars will be using more and more aluminum, because aluminum is strong and light and easily recyclable. So it is light, it is strong, it is recyclable, so it's a great material. So even with the growth of electric vehicles, you'll always find there's a huge demand for aluminum. And I would like to see Bahrain invest more in further downstream industries and grow that field. So that's basically my exposure to aluminum.
Yes, and I can see the passion for the industry even when you speak. And how was the business in the pandemic years, the industry as such? You would be able to tell us better, because you've got that close association.
As I always say, different sectors and different industries got affected in different ways. Different ways. We know that, for example, certain industries that are related to tourism were impacted immediately. But also when the pandemic kind of receded little bit, they were the first to emerge again. People started to travel again and go out again. But there are other sectors, like I belong to in my sector, I belong to the construction and building materials. During the pandemic in 2020, we were not affected badly. Maybe some logistical issues, but were temporary, but we were not affected because we were still working on projects pre-pandemic. We knew in our sector that 2021 and 22 are going to be very tough years because those are the years where we're going to see the effect post-pandemic.
Correct.
So last year was a very challenging year for us because a lot of projects that got stopped during the pandemic, we saw the effect. There was a drop in the construction activity because people's appetite for risk got reduced. People stopped certain things. Now we're starting to see more positive news. We're starting to see the local, even the regional markets, again, projects being activated. You see the growth in Saudi, for example, is accelerating, all the infrastructure. And even in Bahrain, you see that the amount of projects that were announced by the government, you know, there's huge projects, 30 billion worth of projects. And a lot of these are great opportunities for us. And as Bahraini companies, as regional players, we want to play a bigger role in these projects.
Great. And besides being the businessman you wear different hats on the social front. To begin with, you are an executive board member of the Bahrain Chamber.
Yes.
And I think you've announced your to contest again for the forthcoming term, isn't it?
Yeah.
What took you to the chamber? Tell me, because I remember when you contested as a panel in the last elections, you were a fresh face in the chamber, isn't it?
Yeah.
What took you to that decision, and what is making you to continue?
I served in the chamber in 3 terms, and each term was 4 years. So a total of almost 12 years I served in 2 different committees. 2 terms in the retail and the old souk committee. At the time, the head of that committee was Mr. Jawad Al-Hawaj, a great man and a great friend. And then for 1 term, I served in the labor committee with Mr. Adil Mutar. Again, it's a great person and a great friend. And then I was approached over the years by different people at different times if I wanted to run for the elections. I really didn't feel I was ready to run for the elections, and the time that I saw that, you know, the inner fighting that used to happen in the boards and all of this, I was not motivated. What was different for me 4 years ago when I decided to run was basically, I knew I was not getting any younger. I'm very passionate about Bahrain. I love my country, and I wanted to be one of those people that contribute. I don't want to be a person that like some people would criticize and do nothing. I feel it is my duty, it is our duty to roll up our sleeves and do whatever we can, okay? And for me, it was okay if I can make a 1%, if I can make a 2% improvement, I would be happy, rather than to sit idle and do nothing. So that kind of motivated me to think about running in the elections. And the other thing was the group that I was running with. The names were some of the leading business people, great names, high level of integrity, excellent reputation. It just felt right, okay? And I'm proud to be among them. And we had a great program. And I think what we did in those elections, for the very first time, a group that were not the incumbents, we put a full program of what we wanted to do. So instead of being like some of the candidates that just wanted to say, I want to reform, I want to change, I want to update, I want to change, but when you ask them deeper, how you're going to do it, you say, yeah, when I go there, I will try, I'll bring consultants, and I will this. We were ready. The program was ready, and it was built.
I think your team had put up a 100-day plan, right?
Yeah,
When
the
they
100-day plan was just a commitment to start implementing the program.
Yeah.
But the program itself would take longer, and we were ready from day one. We had the program, and it was developed through a special strategy sessions that we did with a special focus at different areas, different sectors, finding Bahrain's position in the region, finding the challenges that the private sector was facing, looking at all of these things, and we came up with a program. And I think since that time, we have changed how the elections are going to be run, because it's no longer using big phrases. You need to have a program. And you have to convince the members of your program and that it is relevant and that it is important. And they have to see also that you are credible. And I think what we have demonstrated in the last 4 years is that we have delivered a lot. There are some people that will still say that the chamber is irrelevant, the chamber doesn't do anything. We do a lot of work, okay? Most of our work is done in terms of something like advocacy, because we protect and we try to defend the private sector. We're engaging with the government, we're engaging with the parliament, we're trying to make sure that the laws are pro-business and not against business, that will help businesses to grow and prosper and not hamper businesses. Even the fees and the charges, we want to make sure that these are logical and would not affect the businesses adversely. And we've done a lot of investment in the chamber itself in terms of creating stability, in terms of recruiting best talent we can, and also focused at the technology part of it. We've invested in the state-of-the-art IT system, because we know that data is everything, and we want to make the chamber data-centric and data-driven. We want to know every member that we have, in which sector, what size of his business, what are his interests, to be able to give him the services and the products and what he is looking for.
When Tajar came in 4 years ago as a panel led by Samir Naz, we know the situation, as you mentioned, just hinted about the previous chamber and certain concerns and issues. That was the time when you came in with the 100-day plan and the ready-to-go programs, the revamping of the committees, etc., etc. You had a clean plan, clear slate. Now, Tajar 22,
yes.
How do you think it's going to be different? Of course, I think almost all of you are the same on the panel, with additional new younger faces. How do you see the scene different, especially the post-pandemic? Businesses have been affected, their needs have changed, the entire scenario has changed. Yeah. So what is new with Tajar 22?
I think one thing that makes Tajar 22 a very strong and powerful group is we think strategically.
Okay.
We act according to a plan, to a program. And in the beginning, we said that the existing board, which is the 29th sort of board period, our role is transformation of the chamber. We know that when we walked in 2018, the chamber was in the past and it was viewed as irrelevant. So our transformation for the chamber was to bring it to the present and make it relevant. Okay? As a speaker representing the private sector and being the most influential organization to represent the private sector and engage with the government, with the authorities in any economic issues or decision making, and be sort of a partner and such. This has been achieved. But we also know that the next board is to build on that foundation. So our focus was to build a strong foundation where the chamber and the next board can start to lead. Because as one of the oldest chambers of commerce in the region, Bahrain was a pioneer in the region. We were leaders in many sectors, and we want to take that role again and start to lead the region. So that's why we've invested in this transformation of building the team, building the organization, the technology part, restructuring the committees. And we want now, we believe we have the platform right now to lead to the next level.
Right.
And we have a lot of challenges. We know that as Bahrain we have challenges, but as a region we have challenges. Okay, what the pandemic has done is accelerated. It accelerated everything by 2 to 3 years. It depends, sometimes even more. We knew that, for example, the world is moving in very fast. There's a lot of disruptors. There's a lot of disruption to many sectors. How businesses are done is completely changed than a few years ago. Internet, e-commerce is playing a huge role. And if you are not today embracing technology and internet and e-commerce, you realize the pandemic has exposed a serious weakness. That if you are not, then it means you're vulnerable.
Yes.
So we want to take this and build on it, okay, and move forward, help companies, SMEs to grow, to prosper, to benefit from the regional opportunities. We know, for example, the challenges, the opportunities that are happening around us in Saudi. Bahrain is the closest country to Saudi. And Saudi is going through tremendous transformation.
Yes.
And we want, as a Bahrain, as being very close to Saudi, we want Bahraini companies to benefit from this transformation and from these opportunities. And vice versa also, we want to attract Saudi companies to invest in Bahrain and grow the economy of Bahrain and the contributions of the Bahrain economy. So a lot of these things are what we are trying to do, what we're trying to focus at, trying to work, build on the strong relationship that we built with the government, with the parliament, of being representing the private sector, making sure that we are in an upward trajectory. We make sure that Bahrain still is an attractive place for businesses to set up, to grow, and for investors to come to Bahrain. We have a lot of opportunities here. Aluminium sector, Alba went through a huge expansion. There's a huge opportunities in downstream industries in aluminium. Babco is making one of the largest investments in Bahrain's history of building a new refinery. This is going to create a lot of opportunities in the petroleum industry and petrochemicals that the world still needs today. The new development projects that the government has announced, 30 billion worth of projects. What we want to do is to make sure that with these projects that we have the vision to create opportunities, to create good jobs. This is very important for us. And as a Chamber of Commerce, we want to help contribute to this. We do not want these projects to come automatically and to get implemented without trying to maximize the benefit for the Bahrain economy, for creating good jobs. We don't want to create any jobs. We want to create good jobs for Bahrainis. And again, everything is interconnected. It means that education, we need to improve the education. We scale up the education to the next level. Improve that we have graduates that have the right skills and most importantly, the right mindset. Everybody is educated. Everybody has a degree. But in the end, it's the attitude that makes a difference.
Indeed. All the very best for the upcoming elections, not only to you, but to the entire panel, because the vision is clear. You have the clear vision as to where you want the country to be. And there's a lot of patriotism in your words All the very best from all of us out here. Let's take a short break and come back to hear a little more from you.
വിഷമിക്കണ്ട, എല്ലാം ശരിയാവും. ലുലു മണി, സ്നേഹപൂർവ്വം.
The exclusive franchisee of Cochin Kala Bhavan in Bahrain, with over a decade of existence in Bahrain. Exclusive online regular classes have started for classical dances, music vocal, instrumental music, cinematic dance, Kathak, Zumba body fitness, karate and yoga, drawing, arts and craft, children's theatre. For more information, please call 3909-6845, 3909-4806, 3885-2397, or visit www.bahrainmediacity.com.
Welcome back to BizTalk from BMC Global Live, and this evening with me is the executive member of Bahrain Chamber, Basim Al-Saie. Mr. Basim, we come to the last segment of the show, and you have taken us through your entrepreneurial journey, your hat as in the Bahrain Chamber, but I know, and also you touched upon the EO. But besides that, I think you also hold a couple of other passionate hats of yours into the social front, isn't it? Like you are an ex-chairman of the Al-Raji school, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, I also believe I'm very passionate about serving the community and contributing. Currently, in the past actually, I was in the board of Al-Raji school. Al-Raji school, of course, or previously known as the American Mission School, is one of the first schools in Bahrain, established 1899. And it was an honor for me to serve in the school that I studied in.
Okay.
Because I was a student of that school for many years. It was a great opportunity for me to contribute to the development and growth of our school. And I remember that we organized a reunion event for all the students, and we brought actually all the faculty.
Okay.
And the principals that we had that are alive, and we were lucky to have everybody, and it was a magical moment that I think still I get a lot of comments from some of the alumni that was kind of one of the most memorable reunions that we had. I also have my role in EO, Entrepreneurs Organization. I was working in the chapter board for many years, 7 years. I became the chapter president. And I served in global roles and regional roles as well. This is kind of, it's a passion of mine of helping other entrepreneurs to grow and realize their full potential. Currently, I'm serving in EO as an accelerator coach, which means we have a program called Accelerator with Tamkeen, which is a very successful program that we have globally, which is to take entrepreneurs. To be an EO member, you have to be a founder, co-founder of a company that has a revenue of over $1 million.
Okay.
So these accelerators are under $1 million. So we try to accelerate them, as the name suggests, so that they reach over $1 million so that they can join EO. So I have a group of 4 amazing entrepreneurs that I'm helping them to scale up their operations so they become over $1 million, become more successful, and be able to join EO. I also serve sometimes, I have some roles of being a mentor to some of the entrepreneurs. Currently, I'm mentoring 2 people.
Okay.
And, you know, I'm a little bit pressed for time. I would like to do more, but this is what I can afford in terms of my time in this very busy period. I'm serving in some boards related to sister companies that we are a part of. And I always try to, whenever I can, add value. I always like to see wherever any role I take is that I can add value. I don't like to get involved in any roles where I become a number. I want to be able to add value, to become a contributing person in any activities. And I'm very passionate about transforming businesses, about one of, I guess, my strong qualities is strategic, is being able to have a strategic vision and direction, and through a very kind of challenging situation to find a way out. That's something that I enjoy doing, and I'd like to use that strength or that skill that I have and contribute in other boards and roles if there are any.
You seem to be very busy. Tell me about your family. How do they cope up with this busy schedule of yours?
Well, I think it's not easy as an entrepreneur. This is one thing that you realize is that, you know, you need to have a life balance, work-life balance. And this is one of the great things that I've learned in EO, is how to balance my life between my job, my business, myself, my family, and my community. So we look at these 4 areas and we try to give each one of them the right amount of time. At the end of the day, we are social creatures, and especially in our part of the world, families are extremely important, friendships are very important, and socially we are very, very active people. So I try to have as much balance as I can, but I kind of sometimes when a right opportunity comes, I always try to hold myself and not try to engage myself unless I know that I can give it the right amount of energy and attention.
Right. Would you like to tell us about your immediate family?
I have 3 children. My eldest is Alia. She is 19 right now. She's attending university in the United States in Boston. And my son Muhammad, he is 15. And he's about to go next year into high school. And my youngest, Isa, he is 11, and he's he's currently in grade 5, and hopefully he'll go to middle school.
Great. So that was a beautiful evening chat. As we come to the close of this chat, tell us one last thing. What is your vision forward? As a person and as a businessman, or overall, like, what is your vision?
My ultimate passion is Bahrain.
Okay.
And this is sometimes, it keeps me sleepless at night of all the things that I can see that we can do to transform Bahrain. My love for Bahrain and my passion for Bahrain is something that drives me to want to do a lot of things. I'm always fascinated about the opportunities that exist, whether it is tourism, whether it is cultural, whether it is industry, whether it is business, and how to position yourself. We have a lot of challenges coming, some of them local, some of them regional, some of them are global, but always there are opportunities. And I always believe in the big picture. And this is very important, is to be able to see the big picture and build what you see in the big picture in a very systematic, organized way. Vision is very important, leadership is very important, and having a great team is very important. And I think if you have those 3 combinations, a vision, with a good leadership and a great team, this is a formula where magic happens.
Thank you very much, Mr. Basim Al-Saie, for joining us this evening. Team
Thank you.
BMC is proud to have you with us.
Thank
All the
you.
very best from all of us out here.
Thank you. It's a pleasure for me to be here, and wish you all the best with
Thank you
your
very
show and everything.
Thank you very much. As Seneca put it, to the person who does not know where he wants to go, there's no favorable wind. And that was Basim Al-Saie, who, despite taming the wind, believes that he still has miles to go. This is Raji Unnikrishnan signing off from BizTalk from BMC Global Live until we meet with yet another guest next week. Thank you, Mr. Basim, for joining us this evening. It was
Pleasure.
great to have you.
Thank
We
you.
have a small memento, a token of appreciation from BMC. I request Francis Kaidarat, the Chairman and Managing Director, to hand over the memento, please.
Thank you, sir.
Thank
Thank you
you.
so much for visiting. the
Thank
media
you for
center.
having me.
A small welcome.
Oh, thank you.
All your favorite products under one roof in Bahrain at 27-year-old Megamart and Macromart. Bakery, fresh meat and fish, fruits and vegetables, sweets and snacks, ready-to-eat foods, dairy products, grocery or consumer goods. To have a wonderful shopping experience, please visit your nearest Megamart Macromart branch. Megamart and Macromart, full of goodness.